Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa and my channel name is called Lisha. Today we're going to be diving into some polymer clay tips and tricks that I use every day in my clay business. So whether or not you're a beginner or experienced clay artist, I'm hoping that these tips will help you take your clay journey to the next level. So grab your tools and let's get into it. So a common issue that people have when working with clay is knowing how to soften it. So there are several brands of clay out there, and each clay is different in terms of feel and quality. So the ones that I use the most are Sculpey and Craftsmart and Fimo. I think those are the best in terms of consistency. What I also like to do is mix Sculpey and Craftsmart clay together so that I can control the firmness. I think Sculpey is probably the most firm in my experience, and so Craftsmart is a good way to counteract that firmness when I mix them. One of the ways that you can soften clay is by using a pasta roller. I know that most people won't have this or will be using it for clay, so if you do have this already, then it will definitely help. And if you're thinking about doing more clay projects, then I suggest getting one. You can use a pasta roller to make really cool gradients and also just to make the roll of your clay super consistent. So I would suggest buying one. It took me I started making clay things in middle school, and it took me until now, which is like post-college, to finally buy one. So, there's no rush. But I do use it often now that I have one. So I would say if you really want to, you can fork out the $30 and go to Michael's and buy it if clay is something that you're really interested in. So to use the pasta machine, what you can do is just cut up your clay into smaller pieces and feed it through the machine over and over again. If you're planning on mixing clay together, I find that doing it this way also reduces the amount of time that it takes to work your clay and make colors or mix colors or make gradients. So having a pasta roller is actually a very useful tool that I use a lot in my clay business. So my tip number 2 is using a needle tool for clean cuts and also just small details. I also use it for drawing faces on my little charms. So if you're looking for a tool that can help you with that, I do suggest this one. You can use the needle tool for adding texture or poking small holes or creating ridges in your clay. It's honestly the tool that I use the most, so if you're looking into clay tools, I suggest finding a kit or maybe even a needle that you own that you can use to work your clay. So tip number 3, how to clean your clay. There are 2 methods that I primarily use. One is pre-baking and one is post-baking. So for pre-baking, what I like to do is take a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol, and I'll rub it onto the charm. This is very effective for certain kinds of clay that you can't use sandpaper after baking to remove the dust. So using this method pre-baking is really useful for these kinds of clays. What you can do is just take the Q-tip and rub it onto the clay, and it'll pick up all the little pieces of dust, which is really nice and very effective. Unfortunately though, it can't get all of the dust at times, and so I like to use this method sparingly. It can be quite messy, and also the smell of alcohol is very strong, so I don't enjoy this method very much. The second method that I use is using sandpaper to sand down the charms. I only use this method when I'm using white clay primarily, because when you're using any other colored clay, you can see the scratch marks from the sandpaper. So I try to use this only with white clay. But it is very effective at getting out all the dust and making your charm look very clean. My biggest personal tip for making clay things is using Sculpey translucent clay. I think I've mentioned this in pretty much all my other videos, but I really love this brand of clay. You can mix it into pretty much anything and it'll give it this sort of glass-like texture. When I'm selling my charms at booths in Davis or like at the farmer's market, people always think that my clay charms are made out of glass because they have this sort of like shiny texture from the resin, but also they look sort of see-through because of the clay. It also reduces the ability to see all the dust in the charms, so it's actually very effective in just making it look better and cleaner overall. So just mixing the Sculpey translucent clay, like a big portion, to your other clays or whatever other colorant you're using is a big tip that I use in a lot of my charms. Alright, those are just some of my brief tips and tricks that I use for creating my clay charms. Let me know if you have any questions, just leave some in the comments. You can totally use me as a resource. I feel like I've been doing this for quite some time, so you can ask me as many questions as you'd like. I hope these tips help your crafting process become a little bit easier and a little bit cooler, for lack of a better word. But if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, put a heart in the comment, share it with your mother, do all those things. I'm just kidding, you don't have to, but it would be nice. Alright, thanks for watching, bye!
Hey, Dad and Mom.
I can't always face stretches. You're such big cheeks.